Finding the right reliable supplier for Shopify dropshipping can be extremely overwhelming. It's such a headache when you're first starting your dropshipping store. But the thing is, once you find this quality supplier, you're pretty much going to use them for the rest of your career. And if you're watching this video, you're probably on that step. You've probably built your store. You're probably looking for this supplier. And I'm assuming that you know no matter how viral you go or how well your ads are performing, you can't sell anything until you're able to actually ship out these products to the customer. It is such an extremely important piece of Shopify dropshipping, and if you don't have it on lock, you're going to run into a ton of supply chain issues, a lot of customer service headaches, and overall, it's just going to be a nightmare. So today, I'm going to show you how to find your reliable dropshipping supplier. First, let me cover a couple of things that you need to know about finding this supplier and what actually qualifies them into being this good supplier. So I'm going to break down 6 things that you need to be looking for. The first thing is communication. If your supplier does not have good communication, you are going to struggle. And a lot of the times, for an example on AliExpress or Alibaba, you have a hard time communicating with them. I know that. I know this because I've done it. I've been there, and it's very hard to get your point across of what you're actually looking for, maybe custom packaging, or just even trying to get lead times down or costs down. A lot of the suppliers on AliExpress and Alibaba don't speak English very well, which makes it really hard if you're a native English speaker, especially if you're shipping products to the US. You have to have good communication. If you can't communicate with your supplier, they're not a good supplier. You're just wasting your time and you're going to run into headaches. The second thing that you need to consider when looking for a supplier is trust. You don't want to just send this random person on the internet a bunch of money. Let's say you get 100 orders and they are $25 an order. If it's your first time drop shipping, you got a lucky viral video or your ads are working really well, you're not going to want to send them $2,500 to someone you've never even to talk to. It can be a huge risk because you want to get your product to the customer. Otherwise, you're going to have a ton of chargebacks. You sent this person money, and maybe it takes 9 months to get to the customer. That's going to be a nightmare. You're going to lose all that sale money, and it's actually not going to work out very well for you. You need to have trust with your supplier. And trust is built, obviously, over time, right? But you can build it up by communicating with your supplier, ordering samples from them to see how fast they actually send the product, and just talking to them, in general, asking them questions, how it works, what you're doing. A great story from my supplier that I actually used in terms of trust was over the course of 6 to 8 months, I was actually overpaying for shipping. It was just by a slight amount. I do high order volume, so I didn't really notice it. It was probably 10 cents, 20 cents, something like that. But over time, this actually added up, and he messaged me on WhatsApp one day, and he was like, "Hey, I've accidentally been charging you for the last 6 to 8 months extra shipping costs." Gave him my PayPal. He sent me the money, and that just really solidified our relationship because I didn't even know that I overpaid him for 1. And for 2. He could have taken that money and ran. But the point is that he didn't. He wanted to foster this relationship, which I was like, wow, you are such a good supplier. I'm going to be using you from here on out. Trust is great, but that brings me to the third pillar that we're actually looking for in a supplier, which is quality. If your supplier sends out products that are not quality, meaning they don't work, maybe they're damaged in packaging or shipping, or it's just not even the right product. That's actually happened to me a few times where they sent out the wrong product. That's another headache that you want to avoid, especially as you scale up your store. So you need to quality test your product. So every single time that you're selling a new product, even if it's from the same supplier, at least for the first year, I would recommend that you order one to your house to test that quality, make sure it arrives in good condition, the package is great, and most importantly, that the product actually works and does what it's supposed to do. Now, quality over time, especially on products coming out China and some even in the US, is actually getting pretty good. You don't have to worry too much about the quality anymore as you did maybe back in 2015. But I would still make sure that you quality test your products because you don't want to run into these headaches. This is the whole point of this video, is to avoid these headaches. Because I'll say it, and then a happy and healthy supply chain is going to be a happy and healthy business. If you don't have that and your supply chain breaks, you don't have a business. It's over. Now, this brings me to the fourth pillar, which is adaptability. You want to have a supplier that's able to meet your demands and needs. If one day you're selling 25 orders of this product a day, and you ramp up to 100 because you get a viral video or your ads are working really well and you're scaling, you have to have that communication pillar because you need to tell him that ahead of time so he can plan. But this supplier, knowing the supply chain and the forecast that's coming in for the demand, should be able to actually prepare for this and ship out all your orders in a timely manner, even though you've scaled up. That piece of adaptability is both on you and the supplier. You have to make sure you're communicating your demand, but they also have to be able to supply that demand. Otherwise, you're stuck back at your 25 orders, and you really can't scale up. And the last thing that you want to do is start reaching out to other suppliers and have multiple suppliers. It is just a nightmare to keep track of. It's hard to communicate. Some come in different packaging, some don't work. It just does not work out, especially if you're selling upsells with your products, because you typically will want them to come in the same package. Adaptability can also mean sourcing different products for you. If they're just an expert in one niche, that's great and that's fine. You can upsell a bunch of different products, test out a bunch of different products in that niche, and you know that supplier is there for you. But say you're doing really, really well in the golf niche and you want to move over to pickleball and start a new store and just repeat this process to make more money, your supplier should be able to get other products in different niches if they are a quality supplier. And that's what I mean overall about adaptability. Now, number 5 is you're looking for experience. Let's just say you're looking for a new supplier and you find one on AliExpress, for example, and they've only been in business for just a year. I just wouldn't trust them. I don't know how long they've actually been doing this for. I don't know if they have really good credibility. They don't have that many reviews. You want someone that's been in the game and manufacturing or supplying products to Amazon FBA people, drop shippers, you name it, whoever is selling products online for at least 5 years minimum. Make sure to ask these questions along the way because they are super important. All right, number 6 is partnership. You don't want to just use your supplier in and that's it. Just ship out the products as a customer and then you never talk to them. You want a partnership, right? You want a supplier to be like, hey, here's some products that are actually doing really well for my other clients right now. Maybe you should try selling them. Oh, if you actually order 200 more units a month, then you're going to get $50 off each unit, whatever it is, right? You want a partnership with your supplier that's back and forth and beneficial for both of you guys. Because when it's a one-way channel and they're just trying to get as many dollars as they possibly can from you, it's just not going to work out, especially if one side is greedier than the other. You want to work together and actually build a business essentially together because as you grow, they grow as well. And if they don't understand that and they don't give you pricing discounts and they don't want to help you out with custom packaging and stuff like that, it's probably not the right supplier because you want to build a business that's sustainable for the long term. You don't want to just run a drop shipping store for 3 months on a trendy product and make 25 grand, and then you quit your job, and then you just realize, oh, well, that was just super lucky. I can't do that anymore. Now I have to go get a job again or whatever. You want to build a sustainable, strong business, and that's what we're here for on this channel. Those are the 6 pillars that you look for in qualifying a supplier, but let's actually break down the multiple types of suppliers. And then after that, I'm going to give you examples and actually where to go to find these suppliers. But don't skip this part because it is super important to know, especially as you're building your business. So what types of suppliers are well? There's manufacturers, there's forwarders, and there's 3PLs. So a manufacturer is literally someone that manufactures a product, usually in Shenzhen or somewhere in China, where they have this big warehouse. A bunch of people work on tons of different products, and they ship them out directly from there. What's great about a manufacturer is that their pricing is cheaper. What's really bad about a manufacturer is that they don't really have good communication skills, and most of the time the packages look like garbage. When they come to the house, they're all beat up with a bunch of white tape all over it or yellow tape all over it. It just doesn't look. You don't want to build a brand around that. It's just not a good look. You're not going to get as many returning customers. And they have horrible shipping times. They're usually the 30-day plus shipping times that you see on AliExpress. Usually working with manufacturers directly is a nightmare, and I really don't recommend it. Now, what's next is a forwarder or an agent is what a lot of people call it. An agent is actually someone that works with the manufacturers to get you the best price. They order the products to their warehouse, where then they can do custom labeling, packaging, all that stuff, and then ship it out for you. It's much because they're the liaison or the middleman between manufacturers and you, and then it also goes to the customer after. I know it's adding one more step to the supply chain, but it really does help because they are able to communicate with the manufacturers a lot better. And oftentimes, their job is literally to communicate with the manufacturers to get you the best price, and then managing their own warehouses and people to actually ship out all these products on time, quality packaging, etc. Now, 3PLs are third-party logistics companies where you can actually order in bulk, send it over to their warehouse, and then they will ship it out for you.